Hey everyone, it's Sekaar, and today we're going to be going over my Magic Warden build for the Gold Road chapter. I think that this build is so much fun. I've been playing it lately, and Mag Warden has always been one of my favorite classes of all time, and this is the kind of build that really just reaffirms that. I'm really happy to have some scribing skills on here. I've got one scribing skill on here, and it hits so hard, and it really goes well with this build. So real quick before we get started, I do have a second YouTube channel for all of you guys that are curious about it. I post Battlegrounds on there daily, and we're trying to get that channel to over 1,000 subscribers. Right now we're at like 750, so if you guys want to help out, go over and subscribe. That link will be in the description. I'd appreciate it if you guys just go over and subscribe to that. It would just be awesome. So guys, without further ado, let's get on with the build. We are going to be an Orc on our Mag Warden. I just really like Orc overall lately. That extra weapon and spell damage is really nice. And then on top of that, that extra sprint speed and all that extra health back. I just think that Orc is one of the best classes right now for damage, and I just really like it. We're also, for our attributes, going to have 44 points into magic, 14 points into health, and 6 points into stamina to give us a max magic pool of 21.7k. A max health pool of 31.8k, and a max stam pool of 17.1k. We're also going to be using Orzorga Smoked Bear Haunch for our food to increase our max health and also our stamina magic recovery. And also Vampire Stage 3, because Vampire Stage 3 is always huge for our builds like this. It really helps our tankiness, the lower health we are with that Undeath passive. Also, we're going to be using Atronach as our Mundus Stone that's going to increase our magic recovery. I really felt like that was needed on this build, and I felt like the difference between having this and not having this was definitely noticeable, and I'm definitely glad that I have Atronach on this build. So, moving on to our gear, we're going to be using Balorg as our monster set. We're going to be using medium well-fitted helmet and a medium well-fitted shoulder. Balorg, for those of you guys that don't know, is going to be weapon and spell damage, and then when you use an ultimate ability, you're going to gain weapon and spell damage equal to the amount of total ultimate consumed. So basically, if you use 200 ultimate, you're going to get 200 weapon and spell damage. Same thing for your physical and spell penetration. You're going to get 23 times that amount, so if you use 200, 23 times 200, that much extra physical and spell penetration as well. So that's going to be for 12 seconds after you ultimate. Balorg is just a really good monster set to have to increase your overall damage. And then we're bringing back Hrothgar. I wanted to try it again, and honestly, I like it a lot. Hrothgar is going to be our front bar set. It's going to be a heavy reinforced chest piece. What Hrothgar does is it gives you max health, armor, offensive penetration, and then stunning or immobilizing your enemy is going to cause them to burst with frost magic, applying the chilled status effect, which chilled status effect on Mag Warden, that damage, guys, is insane. Do not sleep on the chilled status effect. Then on top of that, you're going to be dealing 13% of their total physical and spell resistance as frost damage to themselves and enemies within 8 meters, and that can occur once every 7 seconds. So this is hitting so hard lately. When you combo this, because our scribing skill is a CC, so when you combo your scribing skill with this, the amount of burst damage when you hit that is, oh my goodness. I love it so much. I didn't think that Hrothgar would ever be used again, but here we are. I was proven wrong. Hrothgar is dope, and it works so well on this build. And then we also have one extra slot on this build, so we have medium bracers of the trainee and well fitted for our hands. And then also Rallying Cry. Who doesn't love a little bit of Rallying Cry in their lives? I was thinking about what kind of set to use on our back bar. I was going to use Wretched, but then I thought, you know what? I'll just do Rallying Cry with Atromundus, and I just feel like that's better for the overall build. You get more damage that way. Your recovery is still pretty fine overall, and I just really think that it was for the best. So, Rallying Cry, for those of you guys that don't know, it's going to give you crit chance, max magic, another line of crit chance, and while Battle Spirit is active, so that means either in Imperial City, Cyrodiil, duels, or Battlegrounds, critically healing yourself or an ally is going to give you 300 weapon and spell damage and 1650 crit resist for 20 seconds. And then for each member of your group, that's going to decrease a little bit, so don't group with people. I mean, if you do, go ahead, but I mean, you just decrease it over time. It's still a great set, no matter how many people you have in the group. So that's going to be Light Divines. And then moving on, we're also going to be using heavy, well-fitted Hrothgar legs. And then heavy, well-fitted Hrothgar feet. And then for our jewelry, we're going to be using Rallying Cry rings. Both are going to be infused with weapon and spell damage enchantments on it. And then finally, we're using Satan the Seducer as our mythic because we have been all over this mythic since it's been released. This mythic is, in my opinion, one of the greatest things to happen to this game. The amount of damage that you get from this when you combo it right is insane. I love it so much. So what this does is while you're in combat, you're going to gain 1 of 5 random major buffs, which changes every 10 seconds. And then enemies within the 12 meters of you are going to gain 1 of 5 random minor debuffs, depending on which major buff you have. So when you have Major Berserk active, you're going to get Minor Maim. When you have Major Resolve, they're going to have Minor Breach. When you have Major Force, they're going to have Minor Brittle. When you have Major Evasion, they're going to have Minor Vulnerability. When you have Major Courage, they're going to have Minor Cowardice. So the buffs and debuffs work really well with each other and makes it so that anybody that you're hitting inside of that circle, you're hitting them so unbelievably hard. And also, comboing that with like Hrothgar is insane. The damage you're putting out there is nuts. If you can use a Northern Storm, proc your Hrothgar with Major Berserk, Major Force, or Major Courage active, any of those 3, you're going to be deleting people. Like genuinely, people are not going to know what hit them. I've been loving this so much. One question that people have been asking me about Satan the Seducer is, if you have a buff active, will it still cycle to that buff? The answer is yes. So basically, to explain that is, if I have Major Resolve already procced because I have that as one of my abilities, I will still get that buff, which is unfortunate, but you could just wait it out. It's only 10 seconds. It's really not that bad of a time. And then our front bar is going to be Hrothgar Ice Staff, charged with a shock damage enchantment on it. And our back bar is going to be Rallying Cry Ice Staff, defending with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. And then let's move on to our champion points. Our blue slottables are going to be Wrathful Strikes, Mastered Arms, Untamed Aggression, and Deadly Aim. Guys, we've been on the 4 damage CP hype train lately because, honestly, I said this before and I'll say it again. I'm tired of people not dying in PvP. I don't care if I die or not. I just want to be able to do damage and kill people in this game. And I'm tired of people just staying alive. So whether I live, whether I die, I don't care. I just want to do damage, and I just want to have no regrets about that. And then moving on to our red tree, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, Pain's Refuge, and Celerity. And then our green tree, we're going to have Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. And then let's move on to our skills. So we're going to be using Arterial Burst as our main spammable. This is going to be doing a lot of damage when you can time this up with your other abilities nicely. It's going to be from the Vamp skill line, so that's another reason why we are Vampire on this build. And this is just overall great because you're also applying the Hemorrhaging status effect to your enemy as well. And you know what? Add status effects to your enemies. Do it. It's fun. And then Bird of Prey. This is going to be your source of major expedition, so it's going to increase your movement speed by 30%. You're also going to gain immunity to snares and immobilizations to you for 4 seconds, so you're in and out of those sticky situations. And then also, you get Minor Berserk at all times just for having this slotted, so it's going to increase your damage done by 5%. We also have Lotus Blossom on this build, so this is going to be your source of Major Prophecy and Savagery, so it's going to increase your weapon and spell critical by 2,600. Also, it's going to cause your light attacks to restore 1,300 health to you, and your fully charged heavy attacks are going to be restoring 4,000 health to you. So, that's awesome. It's really helpful for your overall just health sustain as well, because, you know, it's nice to be able to combo your light and heavy attacks and just kind of weave them in between all your abilities, and it does help your little bit of healing overall. And then also Deep Fissure. This is going to be kind of your burst damage on this build. So you're going to apply your shulks, they're going to go into the ground, 3 seconds later, your enemy's going to take some magic damage, and then also after another 6 seconds, your enemies are going to take more magic damage, which actually hits harder. But what's really good about this skill as well is it's going to apply major and minor breach, so it's going to reduce your enemy's physical and spell resistance by 6k and 3k for 10 seconds, which I know what you guys are thinking. Isn't that going to affect Hrothgar? Yes, it will, but I will still take it because major and minor breach does so much damage to them. So this is going to be our Scribing skill. This is a brand new skill that we custom made. This is going to be Dazing Soul. So this is going to be a projectile that you launch at your enemies, and it's going to deal 3,620 magic damage to any enemies in front, well, to the one enemy in front of you, and it's also going to stun them for 3 seconds. So I know that damage isn't much, but comboing that with Hrothgar procs, and honestly, we just don't really use this for the damage. We use this for the stun, and then on top of that, we're going to get 1,000 magic and 1,000 stamina back, so it's really good for our sustain as well. And then on top of that, enemies are going to be afflicted with major defile, so it's going to reduce the enemy's healing received and damage shield strength by 12% for 10 seconds as well. So it really debuffs your enemy as well, and overall, I'm so glad I put this together. I have been loving this so much. I'll go to the scribing station after this and show exactly how it's made, because that's why I'm making videos here. That way I can just run up right after this. But I'll do that after I'm done explaining all the skills. So also, we're going to be using Dawnbreaker of Smiting. I mean, look, Dawnbreaker's on basically every single one of our builds at this point because it's just such a good ultimate. It's in the Fighters Guild passive or skill tree. And basically what I'm saying is if you can combo Deep Fissure into a Dazing Soul, Dawnbreaker, Arterial Burst, that damage is nuts. But for the most part, between you and me, I don't really use Dawnbreaker because I feel like our backbar ultimate is better. So I'll get to that in a second. First, we're going to be using Arctic Blast. So this is going to be the morph that CCs because look, sometimes you need to CC multiple enemies, and overall, this is going to be your burst heal. So when you need some healing, you need that burst heal to get as much health as possible. Hit Arctic Blast, that is the way to go. Also, Blue Betty, this is going to be your source of major brutality and sorcery, so it's going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 20%. Also, every 5 seconds, the Netch is going to remove one negative effect from you, so it's really good for just overall just getting your negative effects cleansed off of you. So I kind of spam that, honestly. And then also Resolving Vigor, this is going to be your 5-second heal over time that helps you get right back up to full health, and it's going to give you minor resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds. And then also Living Trellis, this is another source of heal over time that when you combo it with Resolving Vigor, that is so much healing. So this is a heal that you can give yourself, you can give your allies, so it's really good to just help your allies stay alive as well. And then Ice Fortress, so this is going to be our source of major resolve, so it's going to increase our physical and spell resistance by 6k for 30 seconds. And then on top of that, we're going to get minor protection, so it's going to reduce our damage taken by 5% for 30 seconds. So we are on to our back bar ultimate. This is going to be Northern Storm, which I think that if I had a choice, I would use this ultimate on basically every single build because this ultimate is so insanely strong. I love it. So, you're going to be doing frost damage to everybody in an AoE around you for every 1 second for 8 seconds, so that's a lot of damage. It's also going to reduce their movement speed by 40%, so they get a little bit slower, so you can kind of catch up and keep them inside of it. Also, as the storm progresses, you're going to gain weapon and spell damage, and it's going to increase by 50 every 1 second for 5 seconds, up to 9 stacks max. So basically, you get an extra 450 weapon and spell damage just by activating this, and that's not even counting the Balorg extra weapon and spell damage you get as well. And on top of that, you're also going to be getting major protection, so it's going to reduce your damage taken by 10%, so you become super tanky as well. So it's awesome. I think that this is just such a strong ultimate. And then let's go on up here to our scribing skill. Also, as you see, as we're moving up here, we're also using tripods to increase our overall recovery because I just think tripods are just kind of the way to go on most builds. Alright, so let's look at the scribing altar. The way to put that together is we're going to be using Wield Soul. We're going to be using the Stun Focus script with the Druid's Resurgence signature script with the Defile Affix script. And that's basically how you make it really quickly. It's kind of nice. In my opinion, it's the way to go for this. Because you don't really need Major Breach for this, you don't need Major Resolve, you don't need Major Vitality. So Defile really just helps your overall damage. And for this, I just wanted that extra little bit of sustain since I'm not using Major Vitality. You could use other stuff like, I don't know, that to get more ultimate. But overall, I just thought that that was really good for our overall sustain. And that is the entire build, you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed. I really like this build a lot. This build is so much fun, and it's one of the main reasons why I like MagDen a lot. To have a reliable stun on Magic Warden again feels so nice, and it kind of makes sense why they kept on taking them away, because it is so unbelievably strong now. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys staying to the end of the video. We're going to have some footage for you guys for this build. Do not forget to subscribe, hit that like button, comment down below. Let me know if you like the build, if you don't like the build. I don't really get offended either way. I know that some people like the build, some people don't. I get it. Everybody's got different tastes. I hope that you guys enjoyed though, and I will see you guys on the next video. Later.